could be in the market for Deshaun Watson if he becomes available when asked about acquiring players who may need a fresh start in their careers. Now, Miami's head coach Brian Flores shared the team's philosophy. Take a listen.
But I think when we are, Chris, myself, a coaching staff, when we're talking about a player or players, we're always trying to do what's best for the Miami Dolphins and the organization. And there's a lot of variables there. We want a group that's tough, that's smart, that's competitive, that loves to play, that's team first. I think those are the types of guys we're looking for. Look, we have a high standard for the people we have in the organization, so I don't get into last strikes or anything. We just, we want the people with high character and throughout the building.
So, Shannon, do you believe Flores is indicating he does not want Deshaun Watson?
No, that's football talk. Right now, the Houston Texans are asking a king ransom. Now, once they drop that price tag, we're going to be able to make this move. Skip, I don't believe had Deshaun had any of this around him, I don't believe he's going to go. Basically, now this is what I believe the trade is. You want Tua, and you want 3 first-rounders and 2 twos. Now, the Rams gave up. They swapped quarterbacks and 2 ones. I don't believe Deshaun Watson was going to go for a quarterback that went top 5, 3 number 1s and 2 number 2s. I don't believe he was going to go for that even with this. When he says high catch, Skip, look, there's some allegations. He's not been charged. He's not served any time. These are allegations. These are very, very serious allegations.
And there's a bunch of them.
A bunch of them. Yep. And I don't want people at home to say, well, Shannon, you poo-pooing. No, I'm not. No. These are very, very serious allegations.
Yep.
But as we sit here right now and discuss it, that's all they are. Allegations are not convictions. They're not. They're allegations. He deserved to have his day in court, and we'll see that if it gets that far, Skip.
Yep.
But and listening to him talk, if I just close my eyes, that's Coach Belichick. Because all the things that he said when he's looking for competitors, team first, and all that, that's straight out of the Bill Belichick playbook. We know, Skip, all things being equal, I believe most teams, I'm not going to say all, there's no such thing as all and every. Most teams want guys of high character, want guys that have very good moral conscience. But you and I both know, you haven't covered this game 40 years, me having played it and still covering it. The likelihood of you getting 53 guys of high character and moral conscience is not very likely that all 53 guys are going to fall up under that umbrella. That doesn't mean that you don't try. That just means that it's very unlikely that's going to happen. But what I took from what Coach Flores said, right now the asking price is too high. We're going to do what's in the best interest of this team to make this team better. And if the price tag on Deshaun Watson comes down, we're going to make a move for Deshaun Watson. That's what I took from what he said.
You could be right about that. But I must admit, when I read this and then I watched him say this, a little voice went off in the back of my head like, did he just say he does not want Deshaun Watson? Because he said, he talked about everything he does love in a player, and it all fits Deshaun. And I was the biggest Deshaun fan until all this broke.
Right.
And now I have some
You have some reservations, yes.
And yet, I'm listening to Brian Flores, who, remember, grew up under Bill Belichick. And by the way, Bill Belichick has been notorious for taking shots and risks with low-character players, right? He was sort of Al Davis East for a while, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's talking about players that fit our team, overall talent and salary cap. We're talking about players always trying to do what's best for us. We want a group that is tough, smart, Deshaun, competitive, Deshaun, loves to play, Deshaun, and his team first, Deshaun. He is all of the above. You cannot find better yeses in all categories than that. This is unheard of, what's happening right now. This is revolutionary. This will go down potentially as a legendary acquisition, that a young quarterback, 25 years old, 25 years of age, is suddenly available on sort of the open market, if you so choose, to take on what's now some baggage.
Right.
And to your point, I don't know what's going to... I don't know how he's going to be punished by our justice system, let alone the National Football League.
Well, it's hard for me to see a scenario, Skip. Even though there might be no convictions or anything, there might be settlements. I don't know. It's hard for me to see a scenario where he doesn't get at least 6 to 8 games.
6 to 8. I'm with you. It could be more. Okay. So we accept that. We honor that. We're upholding that at the highest level. But he's still available on the open market. But after Brian Flores goes through all the good things that he loves in a player, then he pauses and he says, I don't know anything about last strikes. As if, again, he never said Deshaun's name, but I'm having to leap to the conclusion he's talking about. Is Deshaun on a last strike?
Yeah, you say that, Skip. That's tampering. So you say the guy's name.
And finally, the bottom line, we want people with high character throughout the building. Well, now you at least have to question Deshaun's off-field character, not his football character, his off-the-field choices. His decision-making off the field is shockingly wrong as far as we know, because what are we up to now? 20 lawsuits? 22 lawsuits filed.
With 10 criminal complaints.
Okay. So now I don't know the politics of this operation and organization. Obviously, Chris Grier has been in charge there for a long time because this is his 22nd year with the Dolphins and his 6th as GM. So he hired Brian Flores under the ownership of one Stephen Ross, who's owned this team since 2008. And in that time, 14 years of ownership, the Dolphins have gone to the playoffs only twice and lost both wild card games. So Stephen Ross, in 14 years, has to show for himself 0 playoff wins. So ultimately, in a situation like this, with the character in question off the field, it's going to be Stephen Ross's final say on yes or no, should we pursue Deshaun? The cost or the price is a whole nother issue. You brought all that up. But somebody has to say yes or no. Green light, red light. And I don't know how much say Brian has over Chris Grier, but it ultimately comes down to the owner. Is the owner going to say yes to Deshaun?
You say he on the team for how many years?
14.
How many playoff wins?
0.
Okay.
And so you're saying yes?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm saying they're going to say yes once the price comes down.
Okay.
They're not giving up 2 or 3 first rounders and 2 twos, Skip. That's not going to happen. Maybe 2 and 2 ones, because I believe they still have some of that in their arsenal. They still have that package to give up. But I don't believe they go 2 or 3 ones and 3 twos. I don't believe that's given the circumstances. Like you said, Skip, we don't know. Could it be 8 games? Could it be the entire season? But I believe he's probably going to be on the commissioner's exempt list this year for certain.
Okay. So it still came across to me that Brian Flores was sending a signal up the ladder to Chris Grier and at the top, obviously, Stephen Ross, saying, hey, I don't love this idea because I want high character, and I'm not sure this is high character off the field. And he went on to rave about Tua's progress. You're a Tua fan. It feels like Brian Flores is turning into the biggest Tua fan because he's talking about he has taken a step as far as leadership and working with his teammates to get things right. He has made some very good strides. What was the most shocking quarterback change of the year last year? What was the one that just blew all our minds? They're 3-3 with Fitzpatrick, Ryan Fitzmagic, and out of nowhere, he goes with Tua. And Fitzpatrick is still talking about it. Like I still can't wrap my head around what he did because nobody saw it coming. The locker room did not love it. But the head coach said, I'm going with that kid because I believe in that kid. And they played okay the rest of the way and finished 10-6, but missed the playoffs.
Yeah, they should have. Look, I think they could have possibly won an extra game if Fitzmagic played, Skip. But for whatever reason, like you said, he decided that, okay, I've seen enough. I know my ceiling with this kid.
Is he digging in with Tua against the idea of Deshaun?
I don't believe so.
I don't know. That's how it came across as me. And I'm not inside the operation.
You've heard Coach talk before. You know Coach talk.
I do know Coach talk, and that seemed like a pointed comment that he made that was directed toward Deshaun.
I think I'm not saying that general managers and head coaches and owners don't have a conscience. But in the pro sports, it's all about wins and losses. And if you give an owner a chance to say, okay, this guy, he might, he has some questionable behavior, or he's less than pristine characteristic-wise, but he gives us a better chance to win. They're taking those guys. Jerry Jones, Mr. Kraft, Al Davis is notorious for it. And Al Davis would take it. He let you, if they let him out on San Quentin on a Sunday to play football, he'd drive with the bus up there to get him and bring him back to play for the Raiders. Yeah. So at the end of the day, Skip, that's what it comes down to in pro sports.
He wanted players with football character, but the off-the-field character did not matter.
If you played defense, Al wanted somebody, you rip somebody's head off, that's the character that he wanted. Because a lot of the stuff they got outlawed was because of Al's defense.
Sema Tuzak.
All right, guys, we have some huge breaking
Jack
news out of New England. We'll get to that next.
We got breaking news. Where the breaking news is?